I'm Christine Stavropoulos.
Και εγώ ο Νίκος Σαμίδης. Και αυτό είναι το Greek Podyssey, το podcast της ομογένειας.
A podcast for Hellenes worldwide, sharing stories, culture, identity, laughs and a little bit of tsugrisma along the way.
Γιατί μπορεί να φύγαμε από την Ελλάδα, αλλά η Ελλάδα δεν έφυγε ποτέ από μας. This podcast brought to you by Roasting Warehouse.
From Melbourne
to Brisbane,
and now in Athens.
Roasting Warehouse, shaping the global coffee culture.
Dream big.
And life is better with great coffee. Roasting Warehouse.
Nico, welcome to our second podcast.
No, Christine, you welcome to a
Thank
second
you.
podcast.
Bureaucracy, living with it or beating it?
That's a very tricky one. How you can beat bureaucracy, and especially the Greek bureaucracy?
That is a question that we're going to delve into, and our regular contributor, which we're going to introduce later on in the program, Natasha Karamichou, is a lawyer based in Athens, bilingual. She speaks English and, of course, Greek. And she's going to navigate us through some of the bureaucratic stumbling blocks dealing with Greece. It's hard enough when you're in Greece having to deal with it. But when you are across the other side of the globe, you're not familiar with the laws, it can be very daunting. What do you think?
But bureaucracy is not only a legal matter. Bureaucracy has to do with the efficiency of the public sectors. And it covers all the public sectors, not only the legal matters, everything. From the time you're going to pay your water bill or you're going to have an application for something. To be honest, Greece has moved forward in a positive way. Things have changed the last years.
For the better?
Yes.
What do you attribute that to?
Digitalized.
Yeah. Do you think the government of the day may play a role in how bureaucracy is managed?
Well, of course, 100%. 100%. There's the key. That's the key point. How governments
Streamline it.
Yes, exactly. And there is a big issue with public servants in Greece.
What's the issue?
Well, there are a few issues that make this thing to be more slow. For example, a public servant that can be removed from his position.
Well, that's the same here. It's really hard to remove
But if you have, for example, 3 complaints, and if you don't comply with the rules of your industry or of your sector, then it's easy to happen. In Australia? Thank you. So that's one thing. The other thing is that I haven't found yet the right pathway to address all the issues, the matters, all the layers.
Yeah.
And we've been, when I was there, and I think can be pretty much the same, although that a lot of sectors have been digitalized. I remember we used to go from an office to another office. Take this paper, go to office number 5, take the stamp, and then come back here. When you go back here, you take another stamp, and then go to number 3 office and buy the hartosimo, like the paravolo or whatever you have to pay. Then come back and then now go to Archia to file your application. So whenever it was for me like to go to the ATO or Euphoria, as we said in Greece, it was a nightmare. You have to be there from 7 o'clock in the morning to have a nice number on a queue. You're not sure by 3 o'clock if your case has been addressed. That was a very stressful situation, and not only for me, but for most of the Greeks that are dealing with the public sectors, they had this issue, because you can take a day off from your work to do your jobs, to finish all your tasks, and to done nothing.
So you think there's too much demarcation and too many departments to try and coordinate, rather than one department doing 5 tasks, for example. Each task is delegated to a different department to facilitate. And that's why I was laughing before, because I experienced what you said. It's like, go to level 3, and then I go to level 3 and they say, no, you need to go to level 2. So
Yes.
go to level 2 and they go, why did level 3 send you down to level 2?
Yeah, give them a call.
You know, I found that in banking as well. You go to a bank and it's
In
like,
Greece,
oh my God, yes. You first have to go through the little security block cell, whatever it is, capsule, and they buzz you in. And then there are so many people waiting for something, whatever their banking situation is. I've never encountered that here in Australia. You might get, 10 people, but there it was chockers.
have you tried, and this is a private sector, it's not public sector. Have you tried to open an account in a bank in Greece?
I've heard it's a nightmare. People that
So
have tried.
here what we're doing, we go
We
at
do it
the
online.
app, we go at the app,
Yeah.
open account, thank you very much, you have it straight away.
Yeah. There's your credit card,
Okay.
start spending.
To spend time there with paperwork and all the documents
Yes.
to open an account,
Yes.
to bring your money into the bank. But I think there is a big problem in public sector. So that's my opinion.
It
Sense of that.
de-incentivizes
De-incentivizes.
people to do business, and, because we want to attract a lot of investment into Greece, and the government wants that as well. Make it easy for people.
No, forget about it.
The hard part is the easiest part. If that's made to be hard, like opening a bank account, well, where to from there? So we need system changes. And like you said, it is slowly happening. It is becoming more streamlined with technology, but it still exists. Yet in other areas, let me go to the enforcing the law. Here in Australia, you get caught with your mobile phone, you're going to cop a major fine. In Greece, he may look at you and keep driving. If not, they'll
Who?
stop. Police.
But no,
Yeah, I've seen it.
no. But what's happening now, the laws for the mobile phone, I was listening to the news 2 days ago, they're getting stricter. And
Wearing helmets.
wearing helmet.
Wearing
and
seatbelts.
here comes again the public sector. In Greece, you know what's happening. You know someone.
Yes.
Okay? And I know someone who knows someone.
Yeah.
So many times, I've done it myself.
Yeah.
Okay? And because you have to adjust yourself on the way of living. You have someone, you know someone. You got a ticket. From a police officer. So you go to the police station and you say to your friend, look, Costa, this happened, please erase it, delete it.
There's a possibility of that happening.
What are you talking about? It's not a possibility, it's a common practice.
It would never happen here.
Are you sure about that?
You have to be gifted to be able to get off a fine here in Australia, I can tell you that.
I don't know about that, Christine. I think
It's really hard.
it's
Trust me.
happening.
I know.
But you don't know it's happening. Kind of corruption, isn't it?
Well, it is.
It's a kind
is.
of corruption.
It is.
That's true. Let's face it.
Yeah.
And it's not only, it's happening.
It happens in any system. Corruption exists in all systems. There is no perfect system that exists without corruption.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I have been to China. When I first landed in... and by the way, I'd love to speak to Greeks that live in China to see what life is like for Greeks living in China. So
Let's say about the Chinese bureaucracy. Is there any?
it is all government owned. So if you know someone in the government, got no problems.
Or if you are in the party? If you are a member of the party?
Absolutely. Well, everybody
Well,
government is part of the party. Anyone, the government owns everything, businesses, whatever. And I stepped off the plane and I looked around and I thought, this looks like the most capitalist place I've ever been to in China. The technology, the commercialism, and it is a lot of, if you know someone, you've got it made. Everything.
That's good. That's cool. I like that. I know how to play this game.
You do?
Of course I do. What are you talking about? 40 years.
Yeah, seasoned.
I know how to play the game. So what's happening? Because bureaucracy, it's something that reflects also to the Greeks living abroad, correct?
Yeah, of course.
So, for example, I know my son's been called on duty. Yes.
Even though he's living overseas,
Now he
he can defer.
he's still young and he's going to the university, but you need to...
Can he ever get an exemption?
Yes, you can get exemption.
Permanent exemption?
Yes,
Right.
yes. But for reasons like health reasons or other religious reasons
Yeah.
or whatever.
You said something earlier before we started the program that in Australia you were able to buy a house without...
Yeah,
Virtually-
I bought a unit
Yes.
without visiting a solicitor.
Yeah.
You can't do that
So
in
now,
Greece.
a lot of apartments and real estate that is on various sites to buy property in Greece. What would the logistic nightmare be if I wanted to buy an apartment online and say, yep, I want that? What is the next step? That in itself would be a minefield. I was in Greece and I was about to buy an apartment in Metz. Loved it. It was an 80s vintage building and had gun barrel view of the Acropolis. I bargained it down to a great price, and of course I had a lawyer. And I said to her, she said, we need to do a title deed search. That's where it all became unstuck. It became unstuck because the guy that was selling it wasn't aware that his brother owned 30% of the apartment, and he also owed money to the taxation department. So he said, I can't proceed with the sale, Christine, because with the price we negotiated, by the time I resolve all of that, pay my brother's 30%, I won't be left with enough money to buy. So I lost it. Issues that you just can't do it from here.
I think
That's where Natasha comes in.
the κτηματολόγιο, that's what you're talking about.
Yes, Natasha from Greece.
She's in Greece.
Probably. She's going to be our regular correspondent. She's going to have a 5-minute segment. And we encourage people to drop us a line, give us your questions. And this is what Natasha's going to do. We have to state that it's not legal advice per se per person. What it is a guideline of you need to tick this box, this is the procedure. Then from that point on, if you need a lawyer and you choose to engage Natasha, you can contact us and we'll give you her details. But she's going to be our information specialist every week for five minutes, and it's proving to be a very popular segment. People are excited about. I think they want to listen to Natasha more than you and I.
Okay. Let's bring her in.
Let's bring her in. You asked and we delivered. We've given some teasers along the way that we're going to have a legal correspondent that's going to be a regular contributor. That legal person is Natasha Karamichou. She's a solicitor in Athens and she specialises in civil law, immigration law, contract law. Her vision is to follow an efficient and highly professional approach to all her clients' legal issues and offer practical advice on options, strategies, tactics and negotiations to achieve the best possible results. And we all know it's always better to have a person, local, on the ground that knows the laws, that can go to the offices and knows what they're talking about. Welcome, Natasha Karamichou, to the Greek Podyssey and to our segment today.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the opportunity to address the Greek community abroad. I wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excited for this journey. Yours is going to be a very popular segment because we've had lots of people saying, ask this, ask that. So why don't you tell us quickly in a nutshell some of the challenges that people abroad face when they deal with legal issues in Greece, some of the obstacles and how they can navigate through that.
Okay. Through my experience so far, because I have been working with Greeks abroad a lot, the major challenges are mostly on κτηματολόγιο, land registry, as we say in Greece, wills, and how we deal with the wills. Do we accept them? Do we renounce them? Do we contest them? So all these procedures are, I think, very challenging when somebody needs to face those. Definitely the recognition of law acts abroad, like, for example, a divorce through a court act in Australia, for example. And how do we declare this divorce, this court act under the Greek law? I think that these are the major challenges that I have been going through when working with Greeks abroad.
How about dual citizenship? Is that
That's a big one
Is that
here.
a hot one?
Yes, citizenship is also a very tricky part. It is also very challenging. What I would say just from the beginning is that each case is different. So we cannot just somehow summarize and say that this is the procedure for everyone who needs to get a Greek citizenship. It depends a lot on where somebody was born, if his or her parents were Greek, where his or her parents were actually born. So yes, this is a challenging, this is a tricky part. Each case is different. We need to go through each case with a certain way.
Personalized, yeah.
You know why, Nicole?
Personalized, yeah.
Although we have to lodge our papers now, the law changed in 21 where you have to lodge your paperwork at the city you're born. I've come across situations where friends have said, well, they can't get citizenship because their parents didn't lodge their marriage in Greece. So
yeah, very common.
then there's nothing you can do here.
For example,
it is true. It is true.
Yeah. For example,
We have been facing this kind of discrepancies because all of life acts need to be declared. Birth acts, marriage acts, divorce acts, birth of children acts. Everything needs to be registered under the Greek law. So you're going to be able to accept a will or to renounce a will or to go through with selling or buying a property or just declare a property in κτηματολόγιο.
And you deal with a lot of overseas clients, so you've got that experience with dealing abroad. Yeah, which is...
It is true. Yes, it is true. I have been working with Greeks abroad and I have been facing all these kind of legal discrepancies, issues, challenges.
So what we want to do is have a 5-minute segment, as we've introduced. Every podcast, Natasha will be receiving questions. At this point, I just want to say that what Natasha is going to be doing on each segment is not giving legal advice, but legal direction. The legal advice you'll be given when you contact her personally via us. You can email us on the Greek Podyssey @gmail.com or in our social media private message. We will pass Natasha's details on to you.
or through our website.
So essentially, it's just giving you that guidance so you have a starting point and then you can contact her and she'll look after you as your specific needs require.
Okay, and what other topics are very hot at the moment, you think, Natasha? We said
wills,
about the
divorce.
wills, divorces, dual citizenship.
The citizenship, definitely. Setting up a business, okay. This would be also a very interesting topic. We can analyze this topic as well. It also depends on the business you can operate under the Greek law. But definitely, this is one very interesting topic that we can analyze, of course, definitely.
I've got an idea, because a day ago my mother-in-law called me and said, «Ήρθαν τα χαρτιά του Σάβα να πάει φαντάρος».
Oh, yes.
So that's another topic.
Tour of duty, yes.
So, yeah, what were we doing while we're living abroad? Because I was born in Athens,
Yes.
been raised
Doesn't
in
have to be born in
Australia.
Athens. My son was born here and he could be called to duty because he's getting his citizenship now.
Yeah,
So if he
there we
stays,
go.
so there's all those other things of how to, navigate through that. So we've got a lot to talk about. This was just an introductory conversation with Natasha.
And just a question, Natasha. I know that Greece, the last years, have done many steps ahead for the digitalize all the application and all that. And that's really good to see that Greece heading that direction. But I don't think that you're 100% sorted out by this digitalized version of bureaucracy. And do you think that a solicitor or advisor or legal advisor is necessary? and essential in these cases to go ahead with the
Yes.
digital applications and
the-
all that?
The answer is it depends, because it is true that bureaucracy has gone digital, okay, as we say.
But still it is.
It's not like, yes, it is. It's not like you avoid bureaucracy, but you just digitalize bureaucracy.
Okay.
You manage
So
it differently.
in some cases, it's very easy for you to file for an application, and this can be done through a website, definitely online, which is very nice, which is good. But in some other cases, for example, in climatology cases, or to get an appointment with the register here in Greece, it becomes more tricky. I'm not sure if a lawyer is one that is really needed to go through with this online, let's say, difficulties, but definitely somebody local, somebody in Greece can facilitate this process very much. A lawyer is always necessary, but we deal with digitalized bureaucracy as everybody else.
Okay, but look, if I have to choose between the digital bureaucracy and the analog bureaucracy, I'll go with analog. You can't argue with a computer, like I need someone to argue with.
Right, yeah.
So
It's better to resolve your issues in person, definitely.
We just want to say that Natasha currently is on holidays in paradise on a beautiful
Yeah,
island.
a small paradise, Christine. A
And
small
this-
paradise.
I'm a very low-key girl when it comes to my holidays, and we've taken up your time today, and we thank you for that. We're looking
Thank
forward
you.
to a highly successful segment, popular every week.
Hopefully.
Again, I'll reiterate, please send us your questions on our website, thegreekpodyssey.com. And anyway, you know how to contact us. You follow us. Just follow us on our social media. Send us a private message. We'll put you in contact with Natasha. Thank you so much.
Natasha, thank you
Thank
very
you so
much for being part
Thank
of
you.
this.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We love talking to you. Enjoy the rest of your holiday, and we'll see you on the next
Me too.
podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being
Thank
on board
you.
the Podyssey. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
First international location marks the debut of Roasting Warehouse outside Australia, a major global expansion milestone.
Prime location in Neos Cosmos, nestled in the cultural heart of Athens, easily accessible and surrounded by vibrant local life. A fusion of Roasting Warehouse's signature Melbourne-style cafe experience with the local Athenian vibe.
Partnered with Nikos Antsaras, two-time Hellenic barista champion, bringing world-class expertise and credibility.
Specialty coffee, locally roasted. High-quality beans roasted with precision and passion, offering a rotating menu of single origins and blends.
Curated food menu, Australian-inspired brunch, fresh pastries, and seasonal dishes tailored for the Greek palate.
Designed for experience. A stylish modern cafe space built for connection, creativity, and quality coffee moments.
Hosting events, barista trainings, and tastings to engage local coffee lovers and professionals. Dream big, and life is better with great coffee.
That was interesting.
That was very interesting.
We're going to cover so many topics.
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's recap. There'll be topics on property, sale, and purchases, wills, citizenship, divorces, marriages, deaths,
All the legal matters.
all those bureaucratic problems that we spoke about with departments, from the legal perspective. Yes. Natasha will help us navigate.
I encourage everyone who's listening and he has questions or want to know more
Or comments.
or comments,
You can make comments.
to
You
drop
don't
us-
necessarily have to have a question. You can
drop us,
drop us
the
a
email,
line.
drop us a line and comment on the video.
Yeah.
And
Someone
we
might-
can pass it to Natasha.
Yes.
And
Yep. So the way to do that would be through our Facebook or our website, thegreekpodyssey.com, YouTube, anywhere where you find us, there
Or you
in the
can
comment
call-
section.
directly Christine. She will be more than happy
Really? No, don't call me direct.
to
Email.
assist.
I get enough phone calls. No. Strike that. Just email, and I'll be happy to respond, and we'll pass those questions on to Natasha.
Our
and
email
she'll-
is the Greek Podyssey
At
at
gmail.
gmail.com. So whoever wants to communicate with us,
We'd love to hear from you.
can
Even
do
comments, even suggestions, anything that
But you see,
you want to say to us.
what Natasha said is that the bureaucracy now with the digitalized era of Greece hasn't been eliminated.
No.
It's still there, but it's digital.
Yes. So what happens in a situation, the system crashes? We've had it here with Optus. So,
I think we're covered.
yes.
Not
okay.
like Australia.
So we've got some time to get it right.
We have options.
Having said that, though, Nico, I love that in Greece, even on the most remotest beach, we generally find internet, Wi-Fi.
Free Wi-Fi.
Free Wi-Fi
Free Wi-Fi.
everywhere. So
Okay,
you go to
that-
the beach and you've got somebody taking your order. So you're sitting on your sunbed and you want to scroll and you want to upload your Instagram and you've got Wi-Fi and it's free.
Yeah, and a good quality.
And then you've got a very supposedly advanced country like ours here in Australia. You don't get Wi-Fi on the beach.
Internet in Australia sucks.
Oh, it's our
I
internet.
think they did it very wrong.
Yes.
On this matter, they're still going with a copper wiring, while people have satellite internet with the net.
You know, one of the things I love when I return to Australia, going to the bathroom and being able to put the toilet paper and flushing it. That's a luxury.
I heard this story. Oh, we went to Greece and they still got the
And they
toilet paper beans.
They will. They're not going to change because the plumbing, imagine trying to rectify that in an ancient city like Athens, changing the plumbing system.
So that's the reason?
I think so. What do you think? You'd know more than me.
It's not a habit.
It's a given. It's like what people are used to.
That's how we learn.
And then
to do
if you accidentally drop the paper in the toilet, you think, oh, shit, I dropped it in the toilet. But I've always thought the worst job for anybody to have is the person that collects the little bags from the toilets in the hotels, in the restaurants, and you look at it and you think, I think that's probably the worst job someone can have, cleaning out the little buckets. In some of the major hotels, though, like in the Grand Britannia, for example, they don't have that bucket system. It just goes...
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, well.
But anyway, that's our toilet humour for the day.
Yeah, well, in my village, we still have the buckets.
In the village,
so they
of
go
course.
straight there. Not the beans, the buckets.
Oh, the buckets.
And we have the toilet outside of the house.
Yes. Oh, do you really?
Yeah, that was.
Even now, still?
Yeah, we kept it like that.
I bet you've got an internal toilet.
No.
No?
No, what we did is we opened a door so you can walk from the house into the toilet.
Yeah, see, these are things for me as a city girl I just can't relate to.
Oh, you're a five-star hotel girl?
No. I mean,
Well,
not a
what do you
five-star-
mean? What's the best thing?
always-
That's raining outside and you're going to the toilet.
Back in the olden Australia, they always had the dunny.
Yeah,
The dunny in the backyard.
yeah.
And the redback on the toilet seat. They even wrote a song about it, Aussie song. But it's something that you don't find. There are still some very old little terraces, inner city places where you'll find that outdoor dunny. And that's more like a relic of history than a function that's what they have.
But you see how we went from bureaucracy
To toilets.
Toilets? That's a very funny thing.
It's an
It
actual
happens with
progression.
you
It
when-
all ends up in the toilet.
I love that. Anyway, back to bureaucracy and how we can beat it. I think the best way to do it is to have a professional
Yes, always.
to take care of your matters.
Yes.
If it's a solicitor, if it's a conveyancer.
Just an example, a friend of mine that's going through a divorce, thought that she would engage a lawyer here to do it for her. And she went to see him and she gave him all the paperwork and he said, what's all this? And she said, well, this is what is needed in Greece. And he looked at it and goes, I just don't know what to do with this. So she now has to find a lawyer in Greece because it's just a waste of time
Exactly.
and a waste of money to try and, for someone here to
And-
navigate it.
And that's the best thing to do because believe me, there is a lot of back and forth. with every case, not only the legal one.
Yeah, just don't get into the fire. Once you're in the fire, you need to know how to get out, or you'll burn.
That's why you need a professional to take care of all of your business if you live abroad.
Yes.
It's good to have someone. There are very good professionals out there that you can trust.
Yep.
Always check credentials, everything, reviews when you hire someone
Definitely.
to do that. Because not only in Greece, everywhere
Anywhere.
in the world, there are people that check in advantage of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a thing that's the last thing.
It happens a lot.
Correct.
Happens a lot. Anyway, well, that was very informative. Chat
It
with
was.
Natasha. We look forward to having her on every podcast, answering questions, and we'll learn a thing or two as well, because I'm
Yes.
very interested to find out.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
we'll
So-
welcome her back next time.
What's the next episodes?
The next episode, we've got
Topic.
the Trade Minister of Consul General Consulate here in Sydney, and we're going to talk about I call it a myth, you call it a myth, that Greeks are lazy. Somehow, this myth has been perpetuated. We're going to talk about how that may have evolved. You and I will talk about that.
We're going to bust this myth
We're going to bust this myth. And
because Greeks are really hardworking.
they are. And they, per capita, they work more hours than I think most other countries in Europe. So we're going to bust that myth and give examples as to how and why, and talk about Greek industry. People will be shocked to know that Greece actually has a manufacturing industry. It's not just about olive oil and feta, which is again the cliche. We
It's not.
live with a lot of cliches.
We used to have a lot of heavy industry in Greece 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Then all that deflated and all the businesses closed. You know
the
how
financial
it is.
crisis.
You know how? No, it's not because
Before
of
that.
I'm telling you, 40 years ago,
40 years ago, right.
we used to manufacture
When you say we,
cars.
you mean Greece or you?
Greece,
Oh, Greece, okay.
cars, trucks.
I'll show you a whole list, manufacturing boats, speedboats, tractors, heavy machinery. You will be blown out of the water. And if anybody wants to explore further, there's a really good site on Facebook, Greek made and owned goods in Australia. And Stephen is passionate about Greek industry and promotes it. When you see the types of industry, the plethora that he has on his Facebook page, you'll say, wow. His objective is to try and facilitate businesses and help them here, and he doesn't get paid for it. He just does it because he's a proud Hellene. He promotes industry in fashion as well, shoes, clothes. It's phenomenal. And we'll be talking about that.
Don't be too excited. Just
I'm excited.
leave a bit to discuss on
Well,
the
there's
next
a lot,
episode.
but see, there's lots to discuss. I'm not going to run out of things to say. Those that know me, I don't run out of things to say. But the Trade Minister is also going to shed a lot of light on figures and trade and how to invest in Greece. So that's something that I'm looking forward to having that discussion with
Me too.
her.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Christine.
you, Nicole. And I
for
have to
being
say,
with
you
me
look
today.
really nice in your
Thank you very much. It's my
navy.
it's my
pink.
podcast.
Your podcast, beautiful. Anyway, we've had a lot of fun, and we'll
See
join
you on the
again
next one.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
being with us. Thank you.
Bye.
This podcast brought to you by Roasting Warehouse.
From Melbourne
To Brisbane,
and now in Athens,
Roasting Warehouse, shaping the global coffee culture.
dream big.
And life is better with great coffee. Roasting Warehouse.
I'm Christine Stavropoulos,
Κι εγώ ο Νίκος Σαμίδης. Και αυτό είναι το Greek Podyssey, το podcast της ομογένειας.
a podcast for Hellenes worldwide, sharing stories, culture, identity, laughs, and a little bit of tsugrisma along the way.
Γιατί μπορεί να φύγαμε από την Ελλάδα, αλλά η Ελλάδα δεν έφυγε ποτέ από μας.